Mhm. All right. Hello, everyone. Uh, Welcome and all the best before presenting your hard work. And I would like to start with group number one. Aditi,
Yes, ma'am. Am I
can you
audible?
please present? Yes, you are. Can you please switch on your camera if
Yes.
possible? Perfect. Yeah. And please present your uh, presentation, PPT.
I have sent the request.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, thank you. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is. Can you put it on presentation?
Yes. Okay then. Good evening, everyone. We are excited to present our policy analysis of the Aspirational District Program and its impact on education. Our team has worked collectively to examine its success, challenges, and policy implementations. Let me introduce my team members. It's Diganta, Ankita, Ashwada, and myself, Aditi. Today, we will analyze how ADP has influenced in our overall learning outcomes while highlighting best practices and areas of improvement. By the end of this presentation, we aim to provide a clear data driven understanding of ADP's role in transforming education and propose scalable solution for future progress. So let us start. Over to you, Diganta.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll discuss the Aspirational District Program, ADP, a transformative initiative by NITI Aayog launched in 2018. This program aims to address regional disparities in development by transforming 112 underperforming districts into socio-economic growth centers. The core strategy of ADP revolves around three key principles. One, convergence, integrating schemes across central and state governments. Second, collaboration, engaging stakeholders, including NGOs, private sectors, and local communities. And the third is competition, using monthly data rankings based on key performance indicators to encourage healthy rivalry among districts. ADP focuses on areas such as agriculture, financial inclusion, skill development, and infrastructure. Its significance lies in shifting focus from GDP-centric growth matrices to a more inclusive socioeconomic framework. Aims of the paper. Uh, the primary goal of the paper is to analyze the ADP's impact on educational outcomes. The specific objectives are explaining how initiatives and school attendance. Second, identifying successful interventions and best practices. And third one is highlighting challenges in implementation and offering actionable recommendations for long-term sustainability. Using data-driven insights from KPIs and comparative analysis through tools like Champions of Change dashboard, this study aims to provide replicable policy recommendations to scale these successes further. So like to talk about the historical background of ADP. To understand the need for ADP, it is essential to trace the historical context of district administration in India. During the Mauryan Empire, Janapadas served as the administrative units governed by Rajukals. Next, the Gupta Empire refined these systems, improving administrative efficiency. Under the British rule, districts were formalized in 1793 with the Permanent Settlement Act, where district collectors played a pivotal role in governance. However, post-independence, rural districts lagged in development to and even program 1978 sought to address this but often failed due to poor planning and implementation. Key milestones in policy evaluation. Over the decades, several initiatives were introduced to uplift rural districts. First, 1968 National Policy on Education emphasized universal primary education. 1987 Operation Blackboard aimed to improve school facilities but faced execution challenges. 1992, the 73rd Constitutional Amendment empowered the Panchayati Raj institutions, enabling decentralized governance. In 2000, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan aimed to achieve universal elementary education. On 2005, the National Rural Health Mission strengthened the rural healthcare system. 2015, the Digital India Initiative enhanced the technological infrastructure at the district level. And finally, in 2018, Niti Aayog launched the ADP, making a paradigm shift in governance. By fostering competitive and cooperative federalism, this program emphasized data-driven decision making. It integrates real-time performance monitoring through tools like the Champions of Change dashboard. The ultimate goal is to ensure no district is left behind in India's development journey. I'd like to show you a video by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji at the inauguration party of an aspirational district program. Ankita, it's not audible.
Aditi.
Is audio is clear?
No, it's not audible.
Okay, sorry.
देखिए अभी 2 दिन पहले मैं ऐसे ही सर्फिंग कर रहा था.
Now it is.
Yeah.
मैंने एक देखिए अभी 2 दिन पहले मैं ऐसे ही सर्फिंग कर रहा था. मैंने एक लेडी अफसर का ट्वीट देखा, आईएएस अफसर का, बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग था. अब तो वो सीनियर अफसर हो गई हैं, उनकी खुद की फोटो भी है और मैं नाम भूल गया उनका. उसने लिखा कि मेरी जिंदगी में एक बड़ा संतोष का पल है. क्यों? तो उसने लिखा है कि मैं जूनियर अफसर थी, तो एक बार कार से जा रही थी, तो स्कूल के बाहर एक बच्चा भेड़ बकरी चरा रहा था. तो मैंने गाड़ी खड़ी की, स्कूल के टीचर को बुलाया और कहा कि इस बच्चे को एडमिट कर दो स्कूल में. और उस बच्चे को मैंने जरा समझाया, डांटा, जो भी किया, वो बच्चा स्कूल गया. बोले 27 साल के बाद आज मेरे दौरे के दरमियान एक हेड कांस्टेबल ने मुझे सैल्यूट की और बाद में बताया कि मैडम पहचाना, मैं वही हूं जो भेड़ बकरी चराता था और आपने मुझे स्कूल पहुंचाया था. मैं आज यहां पहुंच गया आपके कारण.
So with this great example, over to you, Ankita, to continue with our presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Building on the Diganta's Foundation, Aspirational Districts program today has emerged as a game changer, transforming India's most underdeveloped districts into dynamic hubs of progress through real-time monitoring, healthy competition, and collaborative governance. ADP now drives inclusive growth, ensuring that no region is left behind. So more than just bridging gaps, it empowers districts to take charge of their own development, making progress more responsive, impactful, and people-centric. So coming down to specific objectives of ADP, first is bridging developmental gaps. ADP targets districts with the weakest socioeconomic indicators to promote balanced national development. For instance, districts with high child malnutrition received targeted interventions like Poshan Abhiyan. And if a district lagged in education, targeted interventions such as teacher training and digital learning tools were implemented. So second comes data-driven policy governance and inter-district comparison. So with 49 performance indicators, real-time tracking helps identify weak areas, leading to data
I think there's some network issue on Ankita's end. Aditi, can you please quickly message Ankita?
Yeah, I have texted her.
Okay, thank you.
I'm really sorry, guys. Am I
Sorry
not
about
now
Ankita.
audible?
Yeah, perfect. You can switch off your camera if there's
Yes,
network issue
okay.
and continue.
Thank you so
Okay?
much. Right. I hope you heard three objectives. Okay, I'll start with third. Enhancing governance and accountability. So coming to this, ADP introduced competitive federalism. So the program ranked districts based on their progress, which fostered a spirit of healthy competition, motivating them to improve on their services. For example, ranking system motivated the Nandurbar district in Maharashtra to improve maternal health through better institutional deliveries, which set an example for others. Fourth comes fostering participatory development. So this initiative promotes collaboration and cooperative federalism among various government bodies, private sector players, and civil society working together to implement locally suited solutions. For example, CSR funded smart classrooms in Jharkhand's districts have significantly improved learning outcomes. Then comes catalyzing sustainable development. So ADP ensured long-term progress, so ensuring that progress is systematic rather than temporary. Hence, fostering sustained socioeconomic growth. For example, initiatives like Project Darpan, leveraging AI-driven dashboards to track student progress, aligning with SDG 4 of quality education. Then comes strengthening local governance. Bringing flexibility, this program empowered district administrations to devise context specific solutions, fostering accountability, innovation, and decentralization. So, giving them enough power to decide on their own which suits the best for them. For instance, in Chhattisgarh's Bastar district, community led governance has improved the implementation of nutrition programs, ensuring effective service delivery, tailoring to local needs. Last comes creating replicable models. So the program develops successful strategy that can be expanded to other districts and integrated into national policies. For example, Vidya Dan initiative leveraged digital learning. It has been replicated across multiple regions to bridge learning gaps. Now coming to the unique strategy which ADP adopted, that is 3C framework: convergence, collaboration, and competition. So in convergence, ADP ensured there is seamless integration of central, state, as well as local government schemes to maximize their collective impact. For example, in Jharkhand's aspirational districts, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan was integrated with National Beti Bachao Beti Padhao to improve female literacy, resulting in increased girls' enrollment in schools. Second comes collaboration. ADP actively engages NGOs, private sector players, and civil society to bring in additional resources and expertise. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, Fatehpur district, Google India partnered with local administration to set up AI-powered digital learning centers in government schools. So third comes competition, which is one of the main objective of the program, where healthy competition is fostered through performance-based ranking, motivating districts to improve governance as well as service delivery. For instance, in Barwani district, Madhya Pradesh, ranking-based incentives led to an 80% improvement in foundational literacy and numeracy. So therefore, we see the aspirational districts program derives more inclusive, data-driven growth, ensuring that no region is left behind. So thank you so much. Over to you, Ashwada.
Good evening, everyone. I will be talking about the initiatives and indicators of the ADP program. So, the ADP program tracks down development using 49 key indicators across 5 major sectors. Each sector plays a crucial role in improving people's lives. The first one is health and nutrition, which has 30% weightage. So, this is given the highest priority because a district cannot progress if its people are unhealthy. For example, if a newborn care and immunization rates are poor, children becomes more vulnerable to diseases and affecting their growth and education in the long run. So ADP ensures that better healthcare facilities, maternal care, and nutrition support reaches everyone. The second one is education, which is given 30% weightage. So a good education system means a better future. But in many districts, schools lack teachers, books, and proper toilets, leading to high dropout rates. So ADP focuses on ensuring that schools have enough teachers and facilities so that students stay in school and learn effectively. The third one is agriculture and water resources. Since many people in these districts are farmers, their growth directly impacts the district development. So, a farmer with access to good quality seeds, proper irrigation, and modern techniques can produce better crops and increase income. So, ADP tracks these factors to improve agricultural productivity. The fourth one is financial inclusion and skill development, which is given 10% of the total weightage. So, if people don't have bank accounts, business loans, or skill training, they struggle to find stable jobs or start businesses. So, ADP ensures that people can open bank accounts, get loans, and learn new skills to improve their employment opportunities. The fifth one is basic infrastructure, which comprises of 10% of the total weightage. So, development is incomplete without roads, electricity, and clean water. If children cannot reach schools due to bad roads, or if homes lack electricity, it affects the overall quality of life. ADP ensures better infrastructure so that people can travel safely, access clean water, and use digital services. The reason health and education together holds 60% of the weightage is simple. Because without a good health, children cannot focus in schools, and without education, future job opportunities remains limited. These two areas are the main focus. Now, coming up to some initiatives to improve education, many districts have introduced unique programs tailored to their challenges. The first one is Chitti Guruvallu, which is based in Vishakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. So, in some villages, adults never had the chance to go to schools, making daily tasks like reading signs or managing money difficult. So, to bridge this gap, high school students called Little Masters teach basic literacy to illiterate adults in their communities. This not only improves adult literacy but also builds leadership skills in students. The second one is Teach Gajpati, which is based in Gajpati, Odisha. So many parents in rural areas do not fully understand the importance of education, often leading to school dropouts. So Teach Gajpati brings together parents, teachers, and community members to actively participate in school activities. So as a result, more children are staying in schools, attendance has improved, and parent-teacher relationships have strengthened. The third one is Unnayan Banka, which is based in Banka, Bihar. So, in many remote areas, schools lack enough teachers and learning resources. So, to solve this, Banka district launched Mera Mobile Mera Vidyalaya program, which is a mobile-based digital learning. So, students can access using their phones and laptops quality education anytime, anywhere. This initiative has helped bridge the teacher shortage gap and provided education even in the most remote villages. The fourth one is the Gyanoday, which is based in Ranchi, Jharkhand. So, the traditional classroom teaching often fails to engage students, especially in tribal areas with limited resources. So, to make learning more interactive, Ranchi introduced small classroom equipped with e-learning tools. So, these digital lessons have transformed government schools. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, the initiative helped over 5 million students continue their education. Now, what makes this initiative special? So, they involve the community, the parents, students, and teacher work together. They use technology, mobile based learning, and smart classroom, and they solve real problems from teacher shortages to school dropouts. These initiatives tackle challenges head on. These examples show that small focus efforts can create massive change. By combining innovation, community participation, and technology, the Aspirational District program has helped thousands of students and communities to step toward a better future. Now, over to you, Aditi.
Yeah, thank you, Ashwada. So let us talk about the transformative progress. The ADP has led to significant improvements across various sectors, as Ashwada has also mentioned. So, like in education, health, infrastructure, governance, since its launch, we can see the targeted interventions have increased in education sectors like tech-enabled learnings, school attendance, learning outcomes, and bridging the gaps in the most underdeveloped districts. The Champions of Change dashboard has been instrumental in tracking the progress using real-time data to assess impact. So now let us talk about the challenges. Like despite progress, several challenges persist. There is a shortage of trained teachers affecting the quality of education, lack of infrastructure, and also digital infrastructure remains a major barrier, particularly in remote areas. Additionally, there is a digital divide. Another key issue is the mismatch between central and state priorities, leading to the delays in execution. To achieve these sustainable changes, these challenges must be addressed through strategic interventions. Like there is some policy recommendation for overcoming these challenges. First one is increasing funding for rural infrastructure for enhancing the basic facilities in the schools. Second one is enhance teachers training, improve skills and recruit more teachers in underdeserved areas. Third one is data driven monitoring, like use real time monitoring to track progress and ensure transparency. Fourth one is holistic development approach, focus on overall student growth beyond academics. Fifth one is promote e-learning models, means expand digital platforms for flexible learning. Sixth one is enhance district level governance and strengthen local authorities for better education and management. Now, in conclusion, ADP has proven that data driven governance, collaborations, and accountability can lead to the meaningful transformation. The road ahead requires sustained efforts and adaptive policy making to ensure that no child is left behind. So, at last, our research is based on reports from Niti Aayog, Champions of Change dashboards, UNDP appraisal reports, and various case studies of ADP implementation. At lastly, I just want to say that working on this project has been a truly transformative experience for me. Additionally, collaborating remotely with my team members was an enriching journey, and I'm truly grateful to my team members. And a special thanks to Sarkari School for providing with this platform to explore, analyze, and present our ADP project. So, thank you so much.
Wonderful. It was a really well structured and insightful presentation. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your research paper. So I would request next team to please start presenting their research presentation.
I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, just give me a second. I'll share my screen. I hope it's visible.
Yes, it is. Can you please put it on presentation?
I think this is the structure of it. Some problems it was causing in the Canva app. So I think this is what the structure of it will be. If at all it's not visible, all I can do is probably zoom in.
Okay, can you please, tap on that three lines, three bars, and minimize the structure content of it on the left hand side.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, a very good evening to one and all. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today as we present our policy brief titled How NEP 2020 is Impacting Education Policy Interventions in India. This brief is the result of an extensive research and analysis conducted by me, Meet, and Simran Dhisikar. Education policy forms the backbone of any society, shaping not only the academic landscape but also the socio-economic future of a nation. The adoption of NEP 2020 marks a pivotal shift in India's educational framework, seeking to address long standing challenges and accessibility, equity, and quality. This policy brief examines how NEP 2020 is transforming key areas such as curriculum, design, technology, integration, skill-based learning, and evaluation systems across all levels of education from preschool to university. Our analysis also highlights the practical challenges faced by NEP 2020, such as the digital divide, infrastructural gaps, funding limitations. Despite these challenges, NEP 2020 presents a forward looking approach aimed at creating more flexible, multidisciplinary, and student centric education system. Through this presentation, we aim to provide a clear understanding on how these policy shifts are influencing the educational outcomes and what further steps can be taken to strengthen the implementation process. We hope the brief sparks a meaningful conversation and helps guide future policy decisions in the educational sector. With this, I would like to invite Meet to give an overview of the NPE 86, which will be the reference of us comparing the NEP 2020.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Today, I'd like to provide an overview of the National Policy on Education 1996 and its subsequent amendments in 1992, and the key programs that were launched during this period. In 1986, the Indian Parliament adopted the National Policy on Education with a commitment to implement it through a detailed program of action. To achieve this, 23 task forces were formed, each focusing on the critical areas of education. These areas range from making the system work to the specialized sectors like education for women's equality, minorities education, technical and management education. Each task force meticulously examined the existing situation, proposed necessary actions, and set broad targets for implementation. The task force submitted their reports in July 1986, leading to a comprehensive plan of action designed to span a decade and beyond. The primary emphasis was on eliminating disparities within the educational system and enhancing the quality of public schools. Several significant programs were launched during this period. One of the most notable was Operation Blackboard, aimed at ensuring minimal essential facilities in primary schools. This initiative included two usable rooms, necessary teaching and learning materials, and promoting the construction of school buildings, often utilizing funds from programs like NREP and RLEGP. Village education committees played a crucial role in maintaining these facilities. Early childhood care and education, or better known as ECCE, received a significant attention. Programs like Integrated Child Development Services or ICDS and schemes for voluntary organizations were expanded. The goal was to cover 70% of children aged between 0 to 6 by year 2000. With a focus on strengthening preschool education components with ICDS. Training for Anganwadi workers was enhanced, and materials for children were made readily available. The ECE scheme was also revised to include health and nutrition components, teachers training, and use playway methods. Creches and daycare centers were strengthened with improved facilities, nutrition, and paramedical care. Training in ECCE was prioritized with the introduction of vocational courses and higher level courses for senior functionalities. However, challenges in implementation led to the 1992 amendments under P.V. Narasimha Rao's government committee, led by Acharya Ramamurthy and Sri N. Janardana Reddy, reviewed the 1986 policy addressing the issues of access, quality, and quantity. The amendments emphasized removing disparities, ensuring equal opportunities, and addressing the needs of marginalized groups like SCs, STs, and handicaps. The 1992 amendments reinforced education for women's equality, provided incentives for SC/ST children, and focused on integrating handicapped children into mainstream education. ECCE provided with student-centered approach, and Operation Blackboard was expanded to include upper primary schools. Non-formal education was also enhanced to reach out of school children. In summary, the NPE 1986 and its 1992 amendments represented a significant effort to transform India's education system with a focus on equity, equality, and accessibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meet. So before we dive into the impact of NEP 2020, it is important to understand the context that led to its formulation, particularly the shortcomings of the NPE 1986. While NPE 86 was a landmark effort to modernize and strengthen India's education system, It faced several critical gaps that limited its effectiveness, some of which are the overemphasis on higher education. That is one of the major shortcomings of NEP 86, which was its disproportionate focus on higher education at the expense of primary and secondary education. Significant investments were made in universities and technical institutes such as IITs, but this came at the cost of neglecting foundational education. As a result, primary schools struggled with poor infrastructure, lacked qualified teachers, and low enrollment rates, particularly in rural areas. The second obstacle was the administrative obstacle, which, despite ambitious goals, the implementation of NPE 86 was hampered by bureaucratical inefficiencies and poor resource allocation. Funding meant for schools infrastructure and teacher training was often delayed or mismanaged. Centralized and decision making slowed down the responsiveness to local needs, and there was little accountability at grassroots levels. For example, the Operation Blackboard, aimed at providing basic facilities in primary schools, was plagued by mismanagement and resource shortages. The other shortcoming of it was the lack of inclusivity, where it aimed to promote NEP 86 aimed to promote inclusive education, but in reality, it failed to reach the marginalized communities. Scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, girls, children with disabilities faced systematic barrier to accessing quality education. In tribal areas, students were often taught in languages they didn't understand, and dropout rates among ST children were as high as 70%, and at the secondary level. Female literacy rate remained significantly low despite targeted schemes. One last shortcomings I would like to discuss is the commercialization of public education, which is yet another significant drawback, the rise of commercialization in education. Underfunding of public schools led to a surge in private schools, which created a divide between those who could afford quality education and those who couldn't. Public schools started charging fees for basic facilities, putting an additional financial burden on economically weaker families. This led to the widening gap in the quality of education between public and private institutes. In summary, while NPE 86 had ambitious goals, it struggled with inefficient execution, poor resource management, and unequal access to education. These gaps ultimately paved the way for reforms introduced in the NEP 2020, which seeks to address these long-standing issues by creating more balanced, inclusive, and modern education framework. With this, I would like to invite Simran to discuss about the overview of the NEP 2020.
Good evening, everyone. Education is the foundation of a nation's progress, but for years, India's education system struggled with a rigid structure, outdated teaching methods, and a lack of real-world skills. To change this, National Education Policy (NEP 2020) was introduced, a revolutionary step towards making learning more flexible, skill-based, and future-ready. Today, I'll explain how NEP 2020 is transforming education in India, its major impact, and why it is a game changer for student, teacher, and the entire country. Let's begin. The impact of NEP 2020 brings a major reform in a school education by replacing a traditional 10 plus 2 structure with a 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system. This new framework emphasizes a foundational learning, multilingualism, and flexibility, skill-based learning. Transforming higher education, the policy introduced a multidisciplinary education, allowing students to choose a combinations of subjects across a stream. Now, a student interested in physics and music or mathematics and psychology can study them together, fostering a creativity and innovation additionally. Digital transformation and inclusion, the NEP leverages the technology to ensure education reaches every corner of India. Online learning, digital content, and platforms like Diksha make education more accessible and inclusive. Focus on teacher training and assessment. A great education system depends on a great teachers. NEP 2020 focus on continuous teacher training, conceptual learning over rote memorization, and a competency-based assessment system that evaluate a student understanding rather than the ability to memorize. Impact of India future, the policy will share the India workforce for the future by creating a job-ready graduate with diverse skills, encouraging entrepreneurships and innovation, promoting global competitiveness, and with preserving India heritage. Thank you. Over to Chandrima.
Now, this, as a part of our policy analysis, we conducted a detailed study on the income generation trends linked to the challenges in education policy over the decade. Understanding economic impact of education policy is as crucial to evaluate their success. After all, the ultimate goal of education is not just knowledge acquisition, but also improving employment opportunities and economic mobility. Our analysis focused on five major education policies. The first policy post independence, the 1948, the 1968, the 1986, 1992 amendment, the 2009 Children's Education Rights Act, to study how shift in education policy have influenced income levels over time. We used a regression analysis to identify the relationship between the key education factors, such as the number of universities, as you can see in the policy poster, such as the university college enrollment rates, access to marginalized group, that is women SC/ST, and job market condition, and the monthly wages earned by the graduate from each era. The key findings of our study is the initial, as you can see in the post-independence era, which is the instability. In the years immediately after independence, income levels showed high variability due to unstable economic and political climate. The residual value for the predicted income during the period was significantly high, as you can see in the last table. Steady growth was observed in 1992 policy amendments. Income generation trends became more stable. The correlation between higher education and expansion of income growth became more pronounced, particularly due to the rise in technical and professional education. Influence on enrollment and accessibility was also analyzed, and increased access to higher education, especially for women and marginalized communities, had a positive impact on income levels. Higher enrollment rates was observed, representing the underprivileged groups in higher education, were directly linked to better economic outcomes. The predictive insights, which is the most important aspect of this research of NEP 2020, based on the trends observed, the analysis predicts that the reform under NEP 2020, with focus on skill-based learning, multidisciplinary education, and technology integration, could lead to projected 27% increase in the salary package for future graduates. This reflects the positive impact of aligning education with market needs and expanding access to quality education. In conclusion, our analysis highlights that progressive and inclusive education reforms have a direct and measurable impact on economic outcomes. If implemented effectively, NEP 2020 has the potential not only to improve education quality, but also to enhance earning potential and socioeconomic mobility for the future generation. With this, I would like to invite Simran to conclude our presentation.
To conclude, India's education system has evolved through various reforms from NEP 1986, which focus on higher education expansion but lack inclusivity, to its 1992 amendment, which aimed to address this gap but face issues like poor infrastructure and a weak implementation. NEP 2020 brings a new 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, skill-based learning, digital education, and flexible higher studies, making education more practical and inclusive. However, its success depends on a proper execution, addressing a challenges like a digital divide, teacher training, and funding. If implemented well, NEP 2020 can finally bridge the gap between educations and real-world needs, shaping a better future and a students in India. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very impactful presentation, and very well, you included all the data and the analysis. Thank you so much. And I would like to invite team number 3 to present the research.
Yes, the Chrisma, can you please share the screen? Okay. Meenakshi, could you please start with the introduction part?
Yeah, sure. Yes,
Can you please put it in presentation mode? Perfect.
Okay, I'm on. So a very good evening to one and all. It is a pleasure to present our research, India 75 High Politics Shaped Education Policy. Our team members, Krishma, Seda, Mehak, me, myself, Meenakshi, Roshni, Simranjit, and Halim, we worked really hard
on reviewing these policies. And we're presenting our findings, which offer a valuable insight into the historical developments of this crucial sector. So, when talking about India at 75, we do have to talk about our past. Without our past, we do have our past. So, in India, education, although not very prominent, it was very respected. So, and in the ancient universities, Taxila and Nalanda University, they have the deep-rooted respect, and they are very much, they're very much of a impact in our past.
मुझे भी train कर देना
Um, okay, so talking about education policies, we start with Kotri Commission, and then that is laid to the modern foundation for the modern policies, then to the national education policies that introduced in 1968, that introduced the language formula, and then it was amended later. And then the major milestone of RTE, right to education, making education for India a fundamental right. And then the programs like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, and then coming the NEP 2020, it brought a paradigm shift. So as we celebrate 75 years of independence, we also have to know that India still claims in the education as a still is a key pillar for our socio-political growth. Now, as we know this, let's go to have some historical aspects. The Nalanda and Taxila University. So the Nalanda University, as we know, is such a huge impact on our past. And it was founded on 427 BC under the Gupta dynasty. It became a major center for Buddhist studies and hub for various disciplines. It housed over 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers. It was beautiful, such an architectural marvel. And it had so many intellectual and cultural facilities that were trying to change. And then there were so many competitions, and it was ultimately destroyed in 1193 CE. Forces leading to the loss of invaluable manuscripts and dispersal of its scholars. And Taxila University, it is one of the earliest universities. Now it is located in the present-day Pakistan. It had over 60 subjects, including mathematics, science, medicine, philosophy, and politics. And it had students from all over South Asia, and had so many notable. Its notable scholars were Panini, Chanakya, Charakya, and due to its neglect, it had its decline. But right now, by UNESCO World Heritage, it is considered a legacy, and its ruins are being considered legacy. So this is the historical context, and for the next topic, I to Ocean.
Yes. So I will be talking about pre-independence education in India. So like it had various phases in which we had ancient and medical period in which Gurukul system was there, traditional system where students lived with their teacher and learned subjects like philosophy, mathematics, etc. Then we had the colonial period in which introduction to English education began in 1835. Lord Matthews, a minute on Indian education, promoted English as the medium of instruction and Western style education. Then we have the role of Indian reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy advocated modern scientific education and women's education. Mahatma Gandhi focused on vocational training and self-sufficiency. The challenges were like high illiteracy rate, gender disparity in education, and impact of post-independence education was the colonial education system laid the foundation for higher education institutions, but lacked focus on primary and rural education. Next slide. So here is the Gandhi's vision of education. Gandhi believed that education was not just about literacy, but about the holistic development of an individual. The key principles are as follows. Education for self-reliance. Gandhi believed that education should make individuals self-sufficient and independent. He emphasized vocal education and craft-based education that would allow students to learn practical skills. learning through experience. He rejected rote learning and theoretical knowledge. Education should be practical and rooted in real life experience. Education for all. He believed in universal education, especially for rural children and women. He worked towards eliminating caste-based discrimination in school. Impact of Naitalim. It influenced India's rural education system post-independence. However, due to industrialization, Gandhi's vision was not fully implemented in the Indian education system.
All right. So adding on to what Meenakshi and Roshni has conveyed so far, I'm here to discuss the Constituent Assembly debates and key interventions by the education ministers. So as we all know,
I would request you to switch on your camera if
I'm
possible.
actually, I'm facing some net issues. I'm running on my hotspot right now, so I don't think I'll
All
be able to
right,
on
no
the camera.
problem then. Go ahead,
Very
go ahead.
sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
okay. So, as we all know, the Indian Constitution is the heart and soul of our nation, and education is a major part of our Constitution. Now, our forefathers were very aware of the importance of education. They knew that education was the key pillar in building the nation and development, because of which much debates and discussions happened before the building of the Constitution. So, here I've mentioned very few points, and let's go through each of it in a very quick manner. Starting off with Sri M. Andasanam Iyengar, he was the one who advocated for free and compulsory education within 10 years, and it was included in the DPSP of our constitution. Second key mention was by Professor K.T. Shah, who said that, so there was a mention in the constitution wherein the right to education was merely mentioned as an endeavor and not as an obligation. So he criticized this and argued that education should be made as a mandatory obligation of the state. The second point was that he also called for compulsory primary education as a fundamental right, and he highlighted Gokhale's 1911 bill and argued that all the excuses made in terms of finances were invalid because a huge amount was spent on the wartime matters, which were supposed to be allocated to education. The third key mention was by Professor Shibban Lal Saxena, who also supported education as a directive principle, and he also emphasized that legislatures must hold the state accountable to all of these principles. Now, moving on to the key interventions by our education ministers. All right, so we have the first key mention, the intervention by our first education minister, who is Mr. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, who championed universal primary education, girls' education, and adult literacy. He also set up various IITs, UGC, and the Central Institute of Education. Next up, we have KL Shrimali, who promoted educational reforms and social welfare. He is also the editor of Jan Shikshan, and he was awarded the Padma Vibhushan. Third up, we have Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, who focused on education funding amid various budget constraints. He also amended the BHU Act. Next up, we have Syed Nurul Hussain, who introduced the 10 plus 2 plus 3 education structure. He also set up the ICHR and the ICSSR for research and worked on gender equality policies. Next, we have Casey Pant, who launched mass literacy campaigns and IGNU for distance learning. He also focused on education for the blind and moral schools, which showcased inclusivity at such an earlier time period in our history. Next, we have Arjun Singh, who implemented the 93rd CA for the 27% OBC reservation in higher education. And the last but not the least, we have M. Palam Raju, who launched the IOSA, NMEICT, and the DBT for scholarships. He also strengthened the RTE Act, whereby we were able to bring up the enrollment rate to over 230 million children. So this was very fast, this thing, because of time constraints, our research is more detailed and in depth. I now request the next person to continue with the next slides. Krishna, please go ahead.
Okay, so following on to what Teja spoke about, I'll be talking about the emphasis on union budget speeches and how they impacted and played a key role in shaping education policy. But how political priorities often influenced how these funds are allocated differently. Over the years, we saw different governments having focus on increasing access or improving quality or introducing reforms like digital learning and skill development. So the first union budget speech I took is the 2007-2008 education budget. It saw a 34% increase with a major focus on Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the midday meal scheme. It expanded access to primary education and nutrition for children. And by 2010, 2011, the budget had more than doubled, with elementary education receiving significant funding. State governments also contributed to 74% of the total education budget, which showed a stronger center state collaboration. By 2023-24, the government allocated rupees 1.12 lakh crore, which showed a significant 13% increase from the previous year. But here, education spending as a share of GDP had dropped down to 2.9%, which raised multiple concerns about stagnation. So, while budgets have definitely brought about improvements, the challenges still remain, like inefficient implementation, lack of infrastructure in rural areas, and gaps in employment for the graduates. This highlighted the need for long term planning beyond the yearly budgets to ensure that funding leads to real lasting improvements. Sorry. Yeah. So, moving on to the second topic, which is the Planning Commission. Established in 1950, it was one of the most influential bodies in shaping India's economic and social development. It introduced the 5 year plans, which set national goals for sectors like education, industry, and poverty reduction. These plans helped expand schooling, develop industries, and reduce economic inequalities. For instance, we saw the Green Revolution supported by the Planning Commission that transformed Indian agriculture, ensuring food security and reducing dependence on imports. The Commission this way also helped build public sector industries and improve rural development. However, over time, this too faced criticism for being too centralized and rigid, making it difficult to adapt to a changing economy. And this was when we saw it replaced by the establishment of the Niti Aayog in 2015, which promoted flexibility, innovation, and decentralized planning instead. And unlike the Planning Commission's top down approach, Niti Aayog encouraged a bottom up or a hybrid approach between states and the center, making policies more adaptable. And while the Planning Commission no longer exists, its long term vision definitely continues to shape India's development policies, particularly in promoting economic growth, infrastructure, and education reforms. Thank you. Moving on to the next topic.
The next topic is national policy education. The first national education policy was introduced in 1968 during Indira Gandhi's government. Before this, education was not easily accessible, especially for the rural and migrated communities. This policy was influenced by the Kathori Commission and forced on making education more uniform and modern while maintaining regional and cultural diversification. Key features for any NPE: education for all. The goal was to provide compulsory education up to 14 years, but program was slow due to lack of funds. The second point, support of marginalized group. Special attention was given to SC, STs, OBCs and women, which later influenced reservation policy. Three languages formula. Students were encouraged to learn Hindi for national identity and for English for global opportunity and the regional language for cultural prevention. And next, vocational education aimed at reducing unemployment by teaching practical job skills. And next, curriculum reforms, more focus on the science, technology, and more moral education to help the country's development. Later in 1986, under Gandhiji's next later in the 1986 under Rajiv Gandhiji's leadership, a new policy was introduced to make education more modern and fair for everyone. This policy aimed to create a national system for education that followed con- constitutional views. The key goals for NEP 1986: compulsory education, free education for all children up to 14 years. The Operation Blackboard started for improvement school infrastructures, learning material and teaching abilities. reduce drop rates, especially focus on girls and marginalized community to help them stay in school, and for better education quality, focus on teachers training, curriculum update, and evaluation system. Special focus area was women's education, programs to improve women and increase female literacy by setting up children's care and daycare centers. Support for SC, ST and minorities provide financial aids, hostels, and special education programs. Education for differently able, allied edu- encourage inclusive education in regular school. Some challenges in implementation that policy: lack of funds, not enough money allocate for a proper execution, and the slow actions policy take time to put into practice. And urban division education quality in village was much lower than cities. In the end, NEP 1968 helped lay the foundation of Indian education system, while NEP 1986 focused on making it more exclusive and modern. Both policy had a great idea but facing challenges and implementation and funding. These efforts later led the major reforms like Right to Education Act in 2009. Next, Harmony.
Right to education, enacted in 2009, made educational a fundamental right for children aged 6 to 40. Before RTE, many children, especially from disadvantaged backgrounds, face significant barriers to accessing education. The Act seeks to ensure that every child, regardless of their socio-economic status, has the opportunity to attend school. It guarantees free and compulsory education, mandates the provision of infrastructure and qualified teachers, and aims to create an inclusive learning environment. Through RTE, we have seen considerable progress, such as enrollment rates have increased, and schools are now required to meet standards such as having proper classroom sanitation facilities and trained teachers. Now let's take a look at Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Next slide, please. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, launched in 2000, aimed at universalizing elementary education and reducing educational disparities across India. It focuses not only on enrollment but also improving quality and addressing barriers to education, such as child labor and gender equality. The scheme is one of the largest educational programs in the world to improve the reach and quality of education, particularly in rural and remote areas. Additionally, the scheme has been instrumental in focusing on girls' education and ensuring that children with disabilities are also given the right to education. Under the scheme, notable achievements such as construction of thousands of schools, recruitment of teachers, and the provision of learning materials and midday meals were achieved. Thank you.
Yeah, so Skill India Mission. Uh, in July 15, 2015, on July 15, in the year 2015, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the commencement of Skill India Mission. By the year 2022, this program hopes to extend the skill set of India's youth, and their main objective was to train more than 40 crore individuals. And there were certain objectives that were needs to fulfill through this Skill India mission. As several government initiatives have been done, like RTE and Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, Skill India mission is one of them. So its main objectives include empowering individuals through skills. So to make them skill oriented and increase productivity, comprehensive training program like Pradhan Mantri Vikas Yojana was an initiative by the government through financial rewards for successful candidates. Focus on entrepreneurship. So, entrepreneurship was mainly focused to increase the self-employment by equipping individuals with necessary entrepreneurial skills, and they focused as it mainly focused on enhancement of the skills of India's youth, recognition of prior learning. It helps in recognition of their performance through various certificates. Skill India mission has addressed skill gaps so to overcome socioeconomic issues. All and they were mainly uh, first they were addressing the skill gaps in the workforce with notable progress since its inception by ensuring that people are prepared for the workforce and able to contribute successfully in various variety of industries as we are the future generation. So the main objective was to increase the productivity through Skill India mission. Next slide, please. Yeah, so schools developed by the society. So all the societies make certain initiatives to promote opportunities to people for their development and learning. So their main objective was to increase the education opportunities to areas where there least access. To broaden education, the government is very much accountable to open schools not only in urban areas but also rural areas as well, so as to focus on grassroots level as well. As in the areas, even today, people do not have access to basic education facilities for development. So there were certain schools that were implemented by various societies. First one is that of DAV schools. DAV schools were implemented in several regions in the country, which not only aim to enhance the access of quality of education, but also was important regarding spiritual values. Another is Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, aims to provide quality education to girls from disadvantaged communities. This is one of the examples that they made initiatives to increase the uh, education policy at grassroots level as well. So there were other schools implemented under Ramakrishna Mission with main objective of education for all. It aims for equal education for all regardless of any caste, discrimination based on caste, gender. In Bihar Madhyamik Shiksha Parishad has been allotted to task to implement the scheme so as to increase and to universalize secondary education. Next slide, please. I would like to shed light on policy recommendations. India's vision for Viksit Bharat by 2047 outlines a broad roadmap for national growth, focusing on economic development, technological process, social equity, and environmental sustainability. Before British came to India, there were various religious institutions such as gurukuls. There are certain ways to increase the education access to all the individuals, because even today there are several places where they do not have access to education, or even if they have access to education, they do not have other resources such as finances and all other so to have that access of education. So there are certain ways to increase the education access. There can be that international collaboration, which includes cultural exchange programs and dual degree programs that can enhance the global exposure of students and faculty. It provides a platform to engage not only with the native individuals, but also they can engage internationally and through a cultural exchange program. Teacher training programs, which is important as to enhance teaching effectiveness and research capabilities. Policies that would incentivize private sector partnerships with academic institutions for research and development, providing internship, job placements, ensuring that education aligns with industry needs. Internships have been provided recently as well, so to increase the skills of individuals. Initiatives have been made to uplift marginalized communities, but due to lack of funding or inappropriate allocation of resources, it doesn't lead to proper implementation. Increase in percentage of GDP on education would help in creating a major impact. The government is continuously trying to achieve the objective of implementing 6% GDP on education, but still there's more to achieve. By the year 2047, the vision of focus of education will shift towards incorporating students with skills such as critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, emotional intelligence, and digital literacy.
Yeah. So India's education. 1 second. India's education system reflects our nation's journey, a blend of progress and persistent challenges. We have seen significant stride through our landmarks by the through the landmark policies like national education policies of 1968, 1986, and 2020, the Right to Education Act, RMCA, and so many other. Even though there are so many great policies that have been put forward, yet issues like funding gaps and political influence remain. Moving forward, we must prioritize evidence-based policy making, minimize political bias in curriculum, and focus on both quality and equality. Ultimately, our goal is clear to make education a powerful drive of social mobility, empowerment, and national progress. Let's work together to ensure every Indian has the opportunity to strive. So this is our project, and it has been great. Thank you, Sakari, for school for this amazing opportunity, and this team was amazing. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi. And I really like the depth and of analysis and clarity on each and every research topic. And it was truly commendable. Uh, and it's inspiring to see such comprehensive work that not only highlighted key reforms, but also brought forward critical discussions on their implementation and future scope. And if anyone would like to share their experience of working together in a team on their respective topics, then they are most welcome. Uh, any one of you, you can directly go ahead without raising hand. Chandrima, would you like to start?
The experience was quite enriching. The basically this policy advocacy is some new field to me. I have had statistics major. I tried inculcating my part, but the research part and the framing and the basically the ability to present it in a more pictorial way is something that was a new experience for me. So there was something personally I have actually learned in this experience, and so have my team members, I'm assuming. So that was quite good.
Truly, it showed in your presentation, you know, the amount of analysis you guys did. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
May
Sure, please.
I? Thank you. So basically, it was a quite great to work with our team members and also with Sarkari School because it was like a remote project. We are don't know each other and we are quite just new for each one. But yeah, after all, we did. I guess overall, everyone is has great to do this. And one thing is like I feel ki there is a something like we can work remotely. We can also work remotely like this because in our school or colleges we are present physically there and we are working together, so we know each other. But working like in this way in a policy analysis or something in a depth, that was quite I thought earlier ki it was a quite challenging to do this work. But yeah, that's a good to do. And also I have learned many things. Like in detail, it has deepened my understanding of policy implementation at the grassroots level, particularly how data-driven governance and targeted intervention can create a real change in education. As other project, other two projects are quite great. So yeah, it I have learned so many things. Like, and it was for me to go in a depth and understanding the basic issues and the policy recommendation and the way forward to implement it. So yeah, thank you so much.
That's wonderful. And someone else would like to share?
Yeah, surely. So I had a great time working with our team, and all of the participants were really enthusiastic, and we had quite a few discussions and meetings where we constantly discussed stuff, and it was a great experience altogether. And this being my first internship, I had a great time working with our team. We learned quite so much. We had many discussions. It was very insightful. So I think I'm very thankful for this learning experience. Huge shout out to my team members. I would like to mention Christmas specifically because I was unavailable quite a few times, but she was the one who handled things during that time. So huge thanks to Chrisma. Not just Chrisma, all our members, Minakshi, Mehak, Simran, Roshni, Harmeen, everybody. Thanks to all my teammates. We had a great time, and I hope this was very fruitful to all my members as well. That's it. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. So I got opportunity to interact with the team leaders many a times, but did not, couldn't interact with the team members. So if anyone would like to share their experience, Meenakshi, Mehak,
Yes,
Harleen.
sure. Um, so overall, the experience was very nice because it uh, it provides a platform to. Am I
You are
audible?
on mute. Yeah, you are.
Correct. So overall, the experience was very enriching. It provides a platform to interact with other like-minded individuals, and it was really I really had great time working regarding this project as it gives an opportunity to research regarding different things, and we got to know about different things as well. And overall, like if we talk about, so we got to know about different perspectives, and as a teamwork and collaborating with other individuals, so it was really a great time, and it was a great learning experience. I would really like to cherish this um, learning. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mehak. Uh, Anyone else would like to share their experience? Else I'll conclude the meeting.
Would like to go? It's okay.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everyone because this was just amazing, to be honest. And all of my team, like Kirda, Krishna, everyone, you guys were amazing. Like everyone, I really want to thank you for this because if any other internships I've done, like one other internship, and it was so kind of boring, to be honest, because I just had to do some just meet deadlines, that was it. But this was so interactive, this was so great, and you guys were amazing, and everyone, like when had policy months, it was great to see different perspectives and how you view some things that is different from mine, and I'm admire every single one of that. So this was just amazing and felt great. And even if it's from the comfort of homes in our room, maybe called up in a bed or something, but it was actually fun. I will definitely cherish these memories. It was quite honestly really fun. But anyway, we all had our works and colleges and things to do, but this was great. Thank you so much for everyone. And that's great.
That's really nice. Thank you for sharing your experience, Meenakshi. And I truly understand this point that each one of us come with our own perspective and, contribute to the discussions and brainstorming. And on behalf of Sarkari School and Abhishek sir, uh, I would like to say that I truly appreciate and value each one of you and your dedication and thorough research on your respective topics. And thank you so much for your hard work and joining and contributing in this meeting. Thank you so much. And I would, conclude this meeting over here. Have a really good night and all the best for your future. Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Bye bye.
Thank you, Suvarna.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you, Ashwata.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mehak. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.